Hey guys, Welsknight here, bringing you another brand new episode of 15-Minute Builds, and this is going to be a very special episode because this is the 50th episode of 15-Minute Builds, and to celebrate that, we're not actually going to be building anything in this episode. What we're going to be doing is taking a little world tour of this creative, super flat world, and I'm also going to include in the video description a download. So if you want to take a download of the world, take a look around, see everything that's here, you can do so. So let's start out right here. This is a little Victorian cottage. This is the very first thing I ever built for 15-minute builds. It's got an upstairs and a downstairs. Nothing super fancy, no interior decorating or anything like that. But this was the very first 15-minute build. We also have over here an automatic sugarcane farm. You press the button, it breaks it, and everything flows into the chest. You may recognize this. I built something very similar, actually, recently in my Hardcore Survival series, but this is where I originally came up with the concept. There's also a lot of failed builds or things that I started but didn't finish because I didn't like the concept. Here we've got like a little secret room. There's some stuff that I just kind of played around with. All sorts of different stuff. Over here we've got a little stable and equestrian center. This was another one of the early builds. Room for horses, things like that. We've got a windmill over here. A UFO, which I never actually did a build on. A gazebo that I couldn't get right. We got a castle tower. That one I actually did. This was supposed to be a ranch house. I don't know if it really ended up as a ranch house. Over here we've got, I think this was the prairie home. Pretty sure. Yeah, I built that one twice. This is, I don't even know what that is. Never actually built it. We've got the log cabin. This is fairly new. This is a schoolhouse. This one is not that old, but not exactly new either. Complete with interior. We're just going to kind of work our way around the circle. Here we've got the beach house. This was actually a very popular one. This one did very well, and I quite like it. This is the medieval A-frame house. This was the most recent one. That was the 49th build. We've got kind of a garden fountain type thing over here. An army tent. This is one that never actually came to completion. I liked the idea, but I couldn't get it to look good because stained clay doesn't come in stairs and slabs. This was the snow base. This is the first one where I really did any sort of landscaping along with the build within the 15 minutes. I quite like how that one turned out. We got a Greek temple over here. Over here, we've got a couple of cars. These were not actually built as part of 15-minute builds. Those were built for a couple of quick tutorials. Here we've got a Tudor house, or a medieval house, which I quite like. There's a little fountain over here, garden fountain. This was a town hall. This was actually a let's build, not a 15-minute build. We've got a fire truck. We've got the Christmas tree. This was a special Christmas episode. And what's really cool about this, let me set it to night, is that the lights actually turn on and off. This was a 30-minute build that was done as part of this series, but it was a special Christmas edition episode. We've got the second modern house over here. Little warehouse with some storage inside. Nice use of depth in the walls, if I do say so myself. Everything all fits together with chests and trap chests. This was... I don't remember exactly what house this was. It's not a bad-looking house, but I don't remember what it was. This is the rustic house. I really like that one. That one's one of my favorites, actually. This was my first attempt at a modern house, and it really kind of ended up neither modern nor looking like a house. So we're not going to look at that one anymore. Over here was a castle. I started this. I was trying to see if I could finish it in 15 minutes, and that did not happen. So I kind of abandoned that one. We have a blacksmith over here. A lot of these have interiors and stuff as well. So if you want to take a look at interiors and some of the ways that I do that, you can certainly take a look at the world download. This is a suburban house that I was working on. Didn't actually come to a video at all. Just kind of something I was working on in my spare time. Here's the Mediterranean house. Although this house and this house were also Mediterranean houses. I kind of started with this And then I was like, nah, I don't like that. So I started with this, and I didn't like that. And then I finally ended up going to this one, and that one I did quite like. This was a little, I think this is the enchanting house, right? Yeah, little enchanting house there. Nothing super fancy. Got a nice little road and things along those lines. Over here we've got school buses, which I built. This was the Suburban House. This is probably the most popular of all the 15-minute builds. This one did really, really well. A small suburban house with a garage that isn't actually a garage. It's actually a false wall just to make it look cool on the outside. We had a chicken coop over here. This was the ice cream shop. This one actually did pretty well as well, the ice cream parlor. Complete with interior, once again. Let's see. This was a colonial house that I was working on, but I couldn't get it. I've tried a colonial house on many occasions, but the problem is, in order to make it look good, I need way more than 15 minutes to do it. This was the Thanksgiving turkey. That was my Thanksgiving special all the way back in November. Picture of that one on Reddit and actually did very well there. This was the start of the mountain home that I did a Let's Build on. I started it here, but then I actually finished it in a separate world. This was the start of something. This might have been the start of an enchanting house, but then I realized I was making it way too big to fit into the time frame, because that's the challenge with this series, is making something that's small enough to actually fit within the 15 minutes, but detailed enough to still actually look halfway decent. This was a tropical tiki hut, like you might find in a tropical vacation home or like a tropical resort or something, I don't know. This I think was an elevated house, a really small one, but then it kind of turned into this, which was basically a house on stilts. This is kind of the first beach house in a lot of ways, although it wasn't necessarily meant to be a beach house. This was something I was working on, trying out my redstone skills. A slime elevator, and it kind of works. I mean, it got me, let's see, 5 blocks, 10 blocks. It got me about 10 blocks in the air. So, I mean, it's something, at least. That was all the farther I could get it. This is another attempt at a colonial house. Once again, didn't work out the way that I wanted. This was the start of something. I don't really remember what. The fantasy house. This one actually was really cool as well, just because of the kind of differing roof shapes in it. That one I really liked. That's a newer one as well. And then we had the Nether Prison over here. This was a couple of months ago. We had the carpenter's home with a big old chimney and a nice, very simple but kind of a cool roof. Lots of interior space in that one. Bob face, creeper face, why not? The barn, this was another early build back from before my channel had any semblance of popularity whatsoever. And complete with cows. I actually really like this build. The only thing that I don't like about it is the sides really need some depth and detail because they're really kind of boring without it. We also had another farm somewhere. This was a saloon that I was working on, but once again, same problem with depth and detail. I might actually still tackle this one, though. I think I could probably clean that up and make it passable. We had a couple different doors, piston doors, things like that. This was going to be like a Nordic hut. This might be... Is this the general store? Yeah, this is the general store. This is where I was experimenting with different shelves and things like that. We had some pixel art that I did randomly. This is actually one of the earliest builds right here, this little potion area. But I really like this build. To my day, this is one of my favorites. But this was one of the earliest ones, and it's really pretty. I like the use of netherwort as kind of almost an aesthetic design, but it's also a really functional build because obviously you need netherwort for pretty much every type of potion you can think of. Let's see. That's the sugarcane farm. Where is the pumpkin and melon farm? It's somewhere. Oh, treehouse. This was a jungle treehouse. This was another one of the earliest builds that many of you probably haven't even seen unless you've gone back and watched the entire playlist. Really like that build too. You can live up here in the jungle, and then for a fast way down, you can just fall directly into the pool, which is kind of cool. I seem to be missing one. Oh, here it is. This is the pumpkin or melon farm. You can do it with either. Once again, you press the button, and it makes everything work. But basically how it works is you got pumpkins underneath glowstone. And then these pistons push the dirt up to break the pumpkins. The glowstone pushes over to knock them into the hoppers, and then they collect right here. This church is the first thing that I built where I went over the 15-minute time limit. And it's a really cool build, but I couldn't quite fit it in. It ended up being about 25 minutes long. I still put the video up anyway because I really did like the build, but it was just kind of an experimental thing as well. So there's a brief world tour. There's a few other things in the Nether that you can check out. There's a few other random little things around here. Keep in mind, guys, not every build here has been completed. A lot of these are this is basically not only my 15-minute build world, but also my testing world. This is where I kind of try out new concepts and put some stuff together. And I figured I'd give you a look at it. So go ahead. As I said, there is a link in the video description. Oh, the ancient temple. I really liked how that one came out too. Anyway, there's a link in the video description for a world download, and feel free to download it, experiment, take a look at the stuff, get some inspiration, kind of take a look at and see how how my creative process works, and also how my creative process fails occasionally. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here, guys. So if you enjoyed the 50th episode of this series, don't forget to like, subscribe for more. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. There are links in the video description below, so check that out as well. But otherwise, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll definitely see you next time. You know that it's going to be a good, challenging mod pack when the only thing you're given is a book called How Not to Die. I think it's brilliant, and it gives you all sorts of tips. I've read through it.